Andrea Berta prepares a surprise signing of another defender after Mosquera. Meanwhile, David Ornstein drops a bombshell on Eberechi, and Arsenal blocks the exit of £45 million star. Another big day for Arsenal, and if you carry this club in your heart like we do, you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because every victory, every signing, every heartbreak, we live it all together. Let's jump into today's news. Arsenal are set to sign Christian Mosquera from Valencia, and this may not be the final defensive acquisition that Andrea Berta makes this summer. The Gunners have been criticized for prioritizing the addition of defenders over forwards in recent years, with the likes of Ricardo Calafiori, Jurrien Timber, Ben White, Gabriel Magalhaes, Takehiro Tomiyasu, Jakub Kiwior, and Oleksandr Zinchenko, all signed by Mikel Arteta. However, the North London outfit have addressed their offensive deficiencies in this window, with both Noni Madueke and Victor Gyökeres set to sign from Chelsea and Sporting respectively. Mosquera will arrive in a £17 million deal, plugging the hole left by Tomiyasu, who was released this summer, while the right-hand side of Arsenal's defense should have sufficient depth once Mosquera arrives. With White, Timber, and William Saliba all operating in this area of the pitch, the left-hand side could be left short. Kieran Tierney has already departed for Celtic, while the futures of Kiwior and Zinchenko are uncertain. AC Milan have shown interest in both Kiwior and Zinchenko, and at the very least, one is expected to leave. If both players exit N5 this summer, it'll leave Arteta with just 18-year-old Miles Lewis-Skelly, an injury-prone Calafiori, and Gabriel to fill two positions. Thus, Arsenal could still make a move for the generational Jarell Hato, who has been heavily linked with the Gunners for over a year. Ajax are quoting clubs £60 million, which is not a kind of fee that is going to be paid by either club Arsenal and Chelsea, journalist Ben Jacobs told the Market Madness podcast. Both feel maybe a fee in the region of £40 million or €50 million might be good enough to strike a deal with Ajax, and that would be including add-ons, by the way. Hato is hoping to make a decision on his future sooner rather than later, ideally before the month is out. He doesn't want this to drag on throughout the window. 12 months ago, he was quite close to joining Arsenal, but the feeling from Arsenal, having started talks, was that Ajax would be the stumbling block and they would be able to persuade the player in the end to stay another year, and that was exactly what happened. Now, Arsenal could sign a left back and Hato is capable of playing there, but with Mosquera coming in, the notion of another young defender is downplayed by sources in the center back position, and that is where Ajax have played Hato at the moment. Contrary to Jacobs' comments, Hato has been deployed predominantly as a left back by Ajax in recent times. While he's more than adept at center back, the 19-year-old shares similarities to Lewis-Skelly when he plays as a full back. Excellent in possession and press resistant, Hato is capable of inverting into midfield. Thus, it can certainly be argued that there may not be room in Arteta's squad for Hato and Lewis-Skelly to coexist. That said, if Kiwior and Zinchenko both go, then the Dutchman's profile is the perfect replacement for the duo, given he can do what both players were able to offer to a high level. Lewis-Skelly would likely remain the first choice left back if Hato were to come in, with the Netherlands under-21 international playing a squad role. Signing Hato while he's available on the market to Arsenal would be sensible squad building from Berta. David Ornstein drops a bombshell on Eberechi. Arsenal continued to be linked with exciting signings as they prepare to build their squad for the 2025/26 season. As exciting a signing as Eberechi would be for Arsenal, there is now a serious question mark around whether or not this move would be necessary. Indeed, it's now been reported by David Ornstein that Ethan Nwaneri is set to sign a new Arsenal contract, and not only that, Nwaneri has been earmarked to play more centrally going forwards. Nwaneri moving centrally makes a lot of sense. After all, Noni Madueke is set to sign for Arsenal, so there may now be adequate depth down the right wing. However, Nwaneri's move to the middle may mean that Ez becomes a redundant target at this point. Ez is a fantastic player, there's no doubt about that, but spending £68 million on a backup in a position that is well covered may not be wise. Indeed, Arsenal have plenty of depth in that number 10 role with Nwaneri shifting over. Martin Odegaard is the club captain, and at his best, Odegaard is world class, so he's unlikely to be displaced anytime soon. Meanwhile, Nwaneri is Arsenal's most promising young player in the eyes of many, so Mikel Arteta will want to give him minutes where possible too. On top of that, with Victor Gyökeres coming in, Kai Havertz isn't so tied up playing as a center forward, so he again becomes an option in that attacking midfield role. Ultimately, as exciting as a signing as Eze would be, the £68 million it would take to sign the midfielder may be best off spent elsewhere, as Arsenal are now fairly well stocked in that attacking midfield spot. There's now absolutely no chance £45 million player will leave Arsenal this summer. Arsenal are set to undergo a period of sales this summer to make way for additional signings. Already, the Gunners have welcomed 3 new signings, with another trio on their way to N5. After Martin Zubimendi, Kepa Arrizabalaga and Christian Norgard, Noni Madueke, Christian Mosquera, and Victor Gyökeres are set to arrive. Mikel Arteta's options will be bolstered, but not everyone in the Arsenal squad is safe, as Andrea Berta is also working on sales. Rice Nelson is a candidate to leave Arsenal, as Fulham have shown interest in the Hale End graduate. Oleksandr Zinchenko and Jakub Kiwior also have uncertain futures at the Emirates, but it's become clear that one player will absolutely not be leaving. Gabriel Jesus' future has been spoken about as the Gunners prepare to welcome Gyökeres. Though the Brazilian has had a tough few years with injury, not eased by competition in the squad through Kai Havertz, it's understood that there's no chance that the 28-year-old will leave this summer. That's the belief of journalist Charles Watts, who said on his Inside Arsenal podcast that Jesus isn't an option to generate funds. Already, where Arsenal can get some money into the club is very slim, Watts explained. People have spoken about potentially selling Jesus, but you're not going to sell Jesus, no chance about it. The Arsenal expert did, however, point in the direction of 2 players who could be offloaded. Fabio Vieira, Sambi Lokonga. Those players could go, but there aren't massive amounts of money you can get. Arsenal aren't notoriously good at selling players for sizable fees, but the Gunners aren't in a hurry to change history, with Jesus having a role to play in N5. Signed for £45 million from Manchester City in 2022, the striker's transfer hasn't exactly been a success, but it also hasn't been a failure. Injuries have derailed the Brazilian's ability to be a reliable influence at Arsenal, but when he's in full flow on the pitch, his price tag looks to be a bargain. What is apparent is that Jesus needs a new role. He's too good to be a backup to the likes of Gyökeres and Havertz when he's fit. Being a remarkably strong ball carrier and possessing the South American flair that so often gets fans off their seats, Arteta should rethink where he can best utilize the forward, which might be marginally further back. Playing behind the striker could be a pathway to success for Jesus, who has plenty to fight for in N5. There will be times when Arsenal need the 2022 arrival's spark, making the stance on his possible transfer all the more understandable. And that wraps up today's biggest Arsenal news. If you enjoyed the update and want to stay on top of everything happening with the Gunners, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Come on, Arsenal!